whole day off from cardio yesterday. I found that really hard. I wonder if it's the weather. Anybody else get affected by the weather when they run? I'd love to know your thoughts on that one. So cool conversations last night. What do we all make of Sophie? She's pretty fab, isn't she? Her trailblazers. Wow. I mean, I know that giving back to the community is maybe one of the most fulfilling things that you can do. But she's done it on steroids. What a great initiative that is. Hit her up on social media. She simply challenged Sophie on Instagram, etc. And ask her any questions you want to, and learn more about her trailblazers and what she's got planned. She's quite an incredible young girl. But for now, that run is done in the heat. We're in this together. We'll get it done together. Morning team. Well, I decided to mix it up a little bit this morning. It's actually a really nice day out there. It's a bit drizzly, but perfect for running. But I just didn't have any mojo in me this morning to run. I'm not sure why. So I said hello again to this bad boy. He's an evil beast. Willoughby and I, Willoughby's only 7, Willoughby and I were alternating on that. One of us was doing some squats, press-ups, lunges, etc. And the other one was busy putting on the ergo. Maybe I was inspired by this week's guest on Cool Conversations. There's a clue for you. Anyway, it felt fantastic just mixing up the training for the first time in an age. Perhaps try that every now and then. I might start doing that as well. But it's Tuesday. We're already rushing through the week. Remember, we're in this together. We'll get this done together. Wow, epic Wednesday morning run with Guy. Where is he? There he is. Feel really privileged today. Guy starts his epic July challenge. So I'm going to hand you over to Guy, who's going to explain all about it. What are you doing, Guy?
So for the duration of July, I do 10k a day, so 310k in total, but we're going to round it up. 200 miles sounds a better number. It's all in aid of Petals. They're a bereavement charity service, like counselling support for people who had child bereavement loss. So yeah, so starting today, 10k a day. We're going to get it done every day.
I'm not doing it every day. Guy's doing it every day. But we put a link in here. I know it's hard times, but if you can donate, or even just check the website out.
Absolutely.
The link will be down here. Swipe up all that business. But Guy's getting it done every single day for the next 31 days. Yeah, and I've just done the first one with him. I feel privileged. Thanks, Guy. You're gonna love the British weather. 24 hours difference, huh? Yesterday, I could hardly get round my runs because of heat stroke. Today, I could hardly get round my run because I'm a drowned rat. It's dropped about 10 degrees and it's torrential rain. But who else is like me and prefers the rain than the heat? I prefer that any day over the heat. Quite invigorating, if a little slippery underfoot. And as you can see, somewhat soggy. But not to worry, I'm gonna go home, get myself a cup of tea, dry off, shower, and it's the weekend. What are you doing? I'm running the virtual Tusk marathon with the children. Actually only doing 5k with them, but yeah, sign up for that. That's a great thing to do. I'll put the link down here, the virtual Tusk Safari Marathon. Let's get it done. Wow, a windy one this morning. I'm so excited on my run this morning with Guy that I forgot to take any sort of video. But it's Monday and that's why I'm so excited. You all know I love Mondays and the opportunity and the excitement that lays ahead. That's why Mondays are so epic. I do love it. God, everything's blown away in the garden. Children paddling pools off over the hedge. I might go and get that one. Anyway guys, listen, I hope you had a fabulous weekend. I don't know what you all got up to. I hope it was fun-filled and crash into the week like you mean it. See you tomorrow. Hell yeah. African wildlife.
Good.
Woohoo!
Woohoo!
We love you, Tusk. Okay, guys, so this is the Tusk Valley. It's blowing a gale, and it's really wet and windy. It's not like Africa at all, is it? No, but we're doing it for African wildlife, aren't we? Here we go, saffron! Woo! Yeah! Thumbs up, Bill! We're doing this! Yeah, here we are. We're halfway round the Tusk Virtual Marathon, but we've lost Mummy. How have we done that? Typical map reading by Mummy. Go, Bibbs! Go, man, go! Look at him go! Ow! No stopping them, and it's not raining yet. Woohoo! So we're deep into the first kilometre of the Team Cool Tusk Virtual Marathon 5K. How's it going, Bibbs? Yeah, we good? Okay, so this is Team Cool off on their virtual Tusk Marathon. Well, we're not quite. We're going to do 5K. It's all for charity. Welcome back to Cool Conversations. We've got a super special guest for you today. I've already been chatting with him and he's got me really animated and pumped about the conversation we're going to have. So a little intro to Alex. He is 5 times world champion, double Olympic gold medalist. According to his website, he's got 1 world's best time. Don't quite understand that, but we'll dive into that in a minute. I think he's got 7 Guinness World Records to his name. He's also got the furthest north anybody has ever rode. He's 2 times best-selling author. Well, 1 time, but about to be 2 times because his new book's out. But more than any of that, he's an all-round great guy. This is, any women out there, I tell you, you're going to fall in love with him. He's 6'6", about 100 kilos, pure muscle. Whew! This boy is hot. More than that, he's a great guy, and we've got him for the next hour on Cool Conversations. Alex, how are you?
Well, I've got to cool off after that. You've embarrassed me there. I'm very well. Thank you so much for having me.
No, it's our pleasure. So we've got to dive in straight away. Lockdown. How's lockdown been for the family?
It's been good for us. Look, we are in the middle of nowhere. We relocated down to Somerset last year, just over a year ago. And every day during this period of time, we've just said to ourselves that we're lucky here. We have space. We can go out into the fields, and we're right on the coast. We're not constricted in any way. So being at home is kind of what we like to do.
You're in the Contox, aren't you? You're in the
we're just under the Contox.
And you're right next to the... and you moved from Henley, or near Henley.
Yeah, just outside Henley.
And what was it? I mean, I've got a bit of an idea, but what was the impetus behind the move? Let's tell us about it.
Well, there were a couple of things. First of all, I was in Henley because I had to be there because of my previous job. I used to be a rower.
And that's the kind of job. You were a double Olympic champion. Oh, my previous job, being an Olympic champion. I love it.
Well, they turned into it was a job, really. Yeah, it was a job. And we had to be in that area, and I'd been there for 15 years, and I just felt claustrophobic. I'm someone who likes open spaces and good big views, and although the South Oxfordshire is beautiful, it's expensive and beautiful. We needed something different. We needed to get out. And the other side of it is we had a bit of a life-changing event. My partner Emily, she got terribly ill with Stephen Johnson syndrome, which I doubt too many people have heard of. It's an unusual thing, and she was in hospital for a month, and it was potentially awful, and it just kicked us into life. And we thought, well, hang on, why are we here? We need to be somewhere we love. We need to live the life we want to live as much as we can. So we just looked online, found this little farmhouse to rent, which we do. We rent this farmhouse at the moment. We have a bit of land and a bit of space, and we're here.
And I mean, from looking at your social media, it looks like a full-on family adventure. Every day there's pictures of you out on the coastline foraging for food, or there's the pigs, or there's the chickens, or there's the shepherd's caravan thing you're converting. It looks. I mean, is it as epic and as beautiful as it looks?
Well, I think so. It is kind of my dream right now for our stage in life. It's social media, of course, we pick out the good bits. You don't see the arguments and the shouting and all that comes with family life and 3 kids. But yeah, I mean, I'm building that shepherd's hut in the field at the moment. It's going to be my office. And on a sort of more serious note here, that it's something that I've struggled with. You know, I went from I was institutionalized while I was rowing, and I came out of that, and I was ready to stop after 2016, and everything was good and great, and it was the right decision. And then suddenly, boom! I had to figure something out. I was in massive debt. I wasn't really where I loved living. Blah blah blah. And I worked from my bedroom. You know, with kids around and no space in this tiny house, and I didn't really know what my work was even, so I was trying to figure out that. So the last 4 years have been, you know, as I've heard you talk to a number of your guests about the fluctuations in life and the finding out who you are.
Well, we all get it, and I think you very astutely say on social media, we only ever generally see the good things. And it looks like everybody else is leading a much happier, fulfilling, meaningful life than we are. But the reality, I believe, is vastly different. I'm very close with, it's quite interesting you say that your shepherd's caravan hut is about to become your office. Sean Conway, he's just built a shed come office. Looks epic. You should check it out. And I talk to Sean a lot, and we have a very open relationship, you know, and both of us go through the ebbs and flows. And you know, I think, you know, we can put all 3 of us in the same situation. I know we talked during lockdown. Your work dropped off the radar, mine's dropped off the radar, and it's been difficult, albeit fulfilling with the family. It has been difficult times the last 3-4 months, and it's not all roses. But that's part of the challenge of life.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I found it fascinating thinking about the lockdown period, that everyone is going through the same thing, yet it's different for everyone. Some people have been, you know, absolutely flat out busier than they've ever been, or you know, undergoing serious things in life, and then other people have just been sitting at home twiddling their thumbs, not knowing what to do and wondering where the next paycheck's going to come from.
I kind of fall in the middle. I mean, I've kept myself pretty busy. We've now got the world's biggest domestic vegetable patch we're working on. But work-wise, I'm very concerned about the next paycheck. Meanwhile, some friends of ours, beautiful friends of ours, own a mobile fish and chip van, and they have been busier than ever. And the fascinating thing, you talk to them, and they almost have, it's almost like an imposter syndrome, or a syndrome of guilt that they're doing really well. Yeah, they both say, we feel guilty because we're busier than ever, and all these people are really struggling. So it's fun. It is strange times that we find ourselves in. So I need to speak to you. So you retired from rowing 2016. Is that right?
Yes.
You were Olympic champion. You were a reigning Olympic champion, and you retired on a bit of a high. So what happened after that? I mean, how did you segue to, I say civilian life, but the life that all of us lead, not the golden boys of Rio. So how did that segue happen?
It happened. It was all straightforward for 6 months. I went into that final year, 2016, knowing I was going to stop. I'd spent nearly 16 years pursuing this. I had 8 years of disasters, then 8 years of successes, and then and my time was up. I was happy. I was satisfied. Everything was right. And whatever happened in Rio on that day, August the 12th, whether I came last or first, I was going to stop. Thankfully, I was with some great guys who pulled me across the line, and I
love that humility. Come on, you were the British rowing Olympian of the year in, when was that? 2012?
Maybe 2012, yeah, something like that. Yeah.
So you can't just say that you were pulled across the line by 3 others. No, I know for a fact that British rowing had you as one of their sort of super elite. So
yeah,
you've been a bit humble, Alex.
I was someone. So this is, if we just go down this line, just indulge me for a second. Rowing. I feel so passionate about rowing because rowing is a sport where you don't have to be the biggest, the best, the most naturally gifted, the most naturally talented, the most technically gifted person. You can be someone who is, reasonably strong, or you can get strong, you can get fit, you can, as long as you can make a team work and help other people get the best out of themselves and encourage your teammates, you can get the best out of them. So that became my sort of thing, I think, in the boat. So in Rio in 2016, I was sitting just behind Mohammed Sabihi, my good mate, the most enormous guy. You sit behind him and I'm like peering around trying to see the sun. I was sat in the shade for a year because he's so massive. I will never be as strong as him. I could train for the whole of my life and never be as strong and powerful as him. Yet I had a few things that he didn't have. So a little bit of a better balance, for example. There's something stupid like that. So we balanced each other out. And that was the whole beauty of rowing for me. You get selected and you have to work as an individual to get selected into the boat. And that's horrendous, that selection process. But you get in the boat and then you can work out what each person's good at. You can just balance each teammate up. And none of us could have done it alone, but of course we did it together, and that's the beauty of that sport. You don't have to be the absolute best at everything. It's about bringing all those elements together.
For those people out there who don't know, and naughty them, as they all should know, it was the Coxless Fours, wasn't it? That was your. So there's you, 3 other. But if you are to be believed, which I don't believe you, 3 absolute. Like total legends, and by the sounds of it, you were just there sipping gin and tonic all the way across the line, which I just don't believe for a second. So I'm fascinated by rowing, and I have been for a while. I mean, I've got an ergo at home. I'm absolutely rubbish on it. I know a little bit about the pain cave, and we've had some pro cyclists on the show, but just talk us through what the pain cave represents to you.
It is. I think the word that flashed up then is fear, and And it's a stupid thing, really, because no matter how much you prepare, so we will race over 2,000 meters, 2 kilometers. That's the standard race distance. Yeah. So all the tests on the ergo are 2K. And no matter how many years you've been doing it, no matter how much preparation you've put into that piece or that test you're about to do, that race, no matter how fit and strong you are, it's always the same. There's this fear that flashes up for a week before, days before, stopping you sleeping, because it's less about success and failure. It's about the pain that you're going to feel, and you have to feel just to get through that test. And rowing's a sport which is a really good thing, I think, where you use they say 80% of your muscles every rowing stroke. So it's, in terms of a fitness tool, it's really efficient. You can get a lot done for your body in a short amount of time, but that brings with it a lot of fatigue and a lot of pain and a lot of lactic acid buildup, because it's a sprint endurance. So you're sprinting for a long period of time. So yeah, the fear is absolutely there. And sitting on the start line of some of those ergo tests, I mean, I never want to go back there, never again. But then coming out the other side, you know, there's this element of satisfaction that I haven't been able to replicate again. You know, you've put yourself somewhere, you've tested yourself mentally, as much mentally as physically as I don't know, as maybe you can, or I certainly could. And you've survived. And our coach, Jürgen Grobler, the great Jürgen Grobler, he was Redgrave's coach, Matt Pinson's coach, deep German accent. He'd say, "Guys, you will not die. There is an ambulance at the finish line." And he used to say about this little man with a hammer that would come in the middle of the race and hammer in your head and tell you to stop, but you're not going to listen to the man with a hammer.
Huh.
Yeah.
I saw on social media forget exactly what record it was. Like the ergo record for 2K was beaten this weekend, was it not? By one ex-teammate of yours, or was he one of the new boys?
Yeah, he's one of the new. We had a bit of a crossover, but he was one of the new boys, Tom George. And I mean, it's an extraordinary time. Absolutely extraordinary. Like, even for me, who trained for 16 years full time as an athlete, I couldn't even attempt that time. Utterly extraordinary.
5 minutes.
5:39.
I say, yeah, 5:30 something. I mean, it's incredible. Now, I consider myself. I've never had any training on ergo. I consider myself half decent. No, I'm not. I'm rubbish on the ergo. But that's twice as quick as that what I would row.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's only been 10 people in the world to ever go under 5:40.
Wow.
On the 2K, and he's just done it in his garage at home. I mean, the half of me wants to tell him, you should have seen some of the times that I do in my garage when no one's looking.
Yeah, the fish that got away.
Yeah, exactly.
And then I saw Cracknell beat some marathon record. I hate to see the state of his bum after that. I mean, I sit on the ergo for maybe 15 minutes. It's like, oh God, that's bony and hard. Yeah, but he did like a marathon time. What was that, a British record?
Yeah, he did it. He got a British record.
You've got to pull your finger out, Alex. You're letting the side down.
Oh, no, I should get on it. But but you can hurt yourself so bad, so terribly on that machine. But not. I don't mean long term. I mean physically, really hurt yourself.
Well, I think there are two sports out there where as a pro athlete, I never will be, never was, but I feel so lucky that I'm getting these amazing people like yourself on the show who are and were. Cycling and rowing. They're the two ones that really strike me. If you want to be good at it, you have to embrace the pain. Almost more than, well, I'm sure runners will be going, that's rubbish. There's also running. There's also 800 meters, 400 meters. But they are the two that I've got friends who have been pros in both. And it does seem brutal. There's just no escape.
No. And that's another thing Jürgen used to say. He used to say there are no shortcuts. Yeah. And there really aren't. You can't get around the pain and the length of time, particularly in cycling and rowing, that you have to put in to get to the standard where you can get selected to even be able to compete, even never mind get to the sort of the podium. So it's just, you have to commit. You really do just have to commit and give yourself to that life in a way. And it certainly took me a while, a few years to understand that, and then a few years to get that balance right of how much to commit, whether to overdo it and kill myself and get ill and injured all the time, or know myself a little bit more and be confident within myself. Confidence was a massive part of my eventual success, I'd say, in the sport. To start with,
I think that's for a lot of people. I'm the same with my rock climbing. I don't rock climb anywhere near as much as I used to. I climb on confidence. And if I enter into the arena of rock climbing, I'm looking at the route above me. If I'm confident, I believe that I'm not physically any stronger. My technique is no better, but I believe in myself, and that gives me at least a grade on what I would normally climb. And sometimes there's a friend of mine, Matt Helliker, he has this ability to just bring out the best in me whenever we climb together, which unfortunately is now infrequent. There's something about him that will bring out the confidence. Even if I'm not confident in myself, he can bring it out. It's incredible when you get people like that. That
everything you've just said there is so relevant to rowing crews as well. Because when you're sat on the start line about to race, you know you're going to hurt, you know you're going to be painful. You're sat next to Australia and Germany, and you know there's great athletes in those crews who've won medals for years. Who's going to win? How do you know? Everyone does the same amount of training. Everyone's as strong or big, as fit or whatever as each other, more or less. Who's going to win? And it comes down to when you're sat there, everyone goes quiet. The umpire sitting in front of you does the roll call: lane 1, Germany; lane 2, Netherlands; lane 3, Great Britain. And down there, 2 kilometers behind you is the finish line. Who's going to get across that line first? It's the people who know that in your crew, sitting in front of you, sitting behind you, the people with you are going to give everything, are going to give everything they've got for you. And you're going to do the same for them because of that. And there's a beauty in that. And it sounds quite similar to you and your mate.
The Puffwurf, as we call him. He's an amazing athlete. He really is. So there's so much. I could just talk about rowing all day long, but there's so much I want to talk to you about. It really is. We should do this more often. Or just get together and drink beer. And in fact, in the background there, I know before we started the show, I said, "Oh wow, you got a beer." But just tell us about that. You're brewing your own drinks these days, aren't you?
Yeah, sadly, it's not a beer. I'll go and get one in a minute. But this is kombucha. This is our homemade kombucha.
You're making that on site down in the Quantox. I see a business venture blossoming as we speak. Is it good? Well, clearly it's good because you started it.
Honestly, I love it. I love it. I love the health benefit connotations to it. I feel good for drinking it. It's a healthy drink. We've got bottles all over our kitchen. We're not on an industrial scale yet, and we're not ready to sell it. I find the process is just amazing, and each batch is slightly different. It tastes different. It has a bit more sort of fizz to it. Other ones,
and
you add things.
It's good for gut health, is it not?
That's exactly what it is. Yeah. It's I don't really know what it is, but yeah, it's good for gut health.
It pushes the beer clock back an hour. You can sip it. It looks like beer. It tastes good. It pushes the beer time back.
And if you alternate, it negates the negative effect of
hangover.
Alcohol. So you can have one.
Beer is meant to be really good for recovery. Apparently, it's got everything in it which is good for recovery, apart from the alcohol. So I did some work with Erdinger Fry years ago, and they were advertising the non-alcoholic beer as almost like a recovery drink. They sponsored the World Triathlon Series, I think it was. So a big picture of Chrissy Wellington like glogging a whole stein of Erdinger Fry. So you retired in 2016, and how did that work? I mean, you obviously knew you were going to retire, so you were I presume you were teeing things up. But how did the transition work out for you?
Yeah, so going back to that question that you asked half an hour ago, sorry about
No,
that.
well, no, this is the whole idea of cool conversations. We just go wherever it takes us. We don't need to talk about that at all. We could just jump straight to your new book if you want to, which I haven't got.
No.
But you can get it on your website, can't you? There we are. That's a free plug for you there, Alex.
Oh, good man. I'll send you on your way. I'll send them on your way. The process is all linked though, because I stopped rowing and I was very much okay. Suddenly your funding is taken away. You have to find a job. You have to do. But I was excited about that. I was really looking forward to that. And for the first 6 months, I loved it. You get invited to lots of things, and it was a great time. And then 6 months to the day, I woke up after crossing the line in Rio, and I was just lost. I didn't know who I was, where I was going. I used to be someone in this world that I was in, and now I'm no one. I didn't have any qualifications. I'd never worked, and I had an identity crisis. And someone sent me an email literally the next day, saying, "Alex, do you fancy this?" And it was an ad on the Explorers Forum. Maybe you know about that. I'm not sure. I think that's the word.
I'm not aware of the Explorers Forum. But is this going to segue us nicely into your Arctic row?
Yeah, it is. It is, because this ad came just. It just came at the right time for me, because we've talked about things before, but I love what you do. I love reading about what you do and the likes of mountaineers and explorers and all that sort of stuff. I think that's probably what I wanted to do before rowing came along, and this ad was cold. It just literally said cold weather rower wanted, some rowing experience necessary. Just send me an email. And it was an email for the skipper of this crew who was setting up this expedition to go north, basically, to try and go further north and then come down the Greenland Sea to Iceland from Svalbard, starting in Svalbard. And so I replied, and then within 5 minutes, I found myself on the crew because I'd done a bit of rowing.
Yeah. I've done a bit of rowing, like thousands of miles. Yeah. Double world champion by that, 5 times world champion and double Olympic. You're in.
It was a bit like that.
The big guy, thank you.
And because of this sort of crisis that I was in, everything just fitted. I was like, it's something exciting. It's outdoors. It's adventurous. It's in the Arctic. I'd been to Svalbard before when I was younger. I was keen to go back there, and it was rowing. It's great. So I sort of threw myself into that, and it gave me direction, crucially, which was the thing that I was missing. It turned into a bit of I don't know whether it's a naive epic. I think I don't know what the
but
right.
That's an ordeal. I mean, I've read around it. We've talked about it. I think an ordeal is a polite way of saying it. It sounded horrendously hard, to say the least. I mean, the picture of your hands. We'll get a picture up. Yeah, incredible. It looks like you've been in a bath for about 6 months. They're all wrinkled and cracked, and I mean, it sounded epic on so many levels. So just explain to us what it was. You were trying to row from, was it Iceland or North Scotland? It was Iceland.
No, so Svalbard, north of Norway, Spitsbergen, Svalbard.
Yeah.
So that Arctic island, and then the intention was to row up through the top of Svalbard to the permanent ice cap, wherever that was during that summer period, and then as soon as we got there, we'd turn and then head down the Greenland Sea to Iceland, which was much further south than the starting point. Yeah. So we were just going to do that route, and there were 6 of us to row on this ocean rowing vessel. And we went up to Svalbard.
They're not big, are they? I mean, they're not big things. So there's 6 of you on there. I presume you're all quite big guys. Yeah. And most of the time when you speak to rowers, I mean, Ben Fogel, for instance, who did the row with Cracknell, they're in quite warm weather. So one of their problems is to sleep is quite hard. But I'm guessing you guys are having to sleep in all your kit. Yeah. Because it's bloody cold.
Yeah, I mean, it was horrible. There were too many people on the boat for a start, so that was one of the things. It was a sort of a 4/5-man boat, and there were 6 of us on board, with the intention, with the skipper's intention at the time when he was setting this up to be quick, so that more people, we would be quicker. We could constantly row, never stopping. 3 people rowing at a time, 3 people resting in these little cabins. When I say cabins, they are just cubby holes. I'm 6'6". The hole that I was sitting in was about 3 foot long. So on your rest time, 90 minutes on, 90 minutes off, until you get to land, basically.
Oh.
You're sitting in this little cabin. And you're absolutely right. It's something that you can't really prepare for unless you've done it or experienced it, which I hadn't. You can't imagine when you're wet through from sweat because you're wearing all the waterproof clothes because you've been rowing for 90 minutes. And then if you take them off, you freeze. So you keep them on. So you're wet, but you're wet on the outside as well. But you have to seal this cabin door shut, airtight shut, because if you do capsize, the boat will sink if you haven't sealed it shut. So you have to seal it. So you're just raining. It's raining on you inside. You're in all your waterproofs. You get cold because you're soaked through. So you're looking forward to going back on the oars so you warm up a bit. But you're not looking forward to going back on the oars because the waves are up there.
Oh.
And there's no...
You were rowing for ages, weren't you? I mean, you were out there for weeks.
Yeah. I think it was about... it was only just over 3 weeks, I think, in the end. But we didn't get to Iceland.
It's a long time. 3 weeks is, let's keep it, that's 21 days, 90 minutes on, 90 minutes off for 21 straight days. There's no escape from that. You're just on the boat. It's not like a training session with your team, GB teammates where you pull for a few hours and you're going to have some food. You're just stuck on the boat. You can't get off of it.
No, yeah. There was nothing around. I feel stupid talking to you about this. All the things that you do.
But I can exit stage right. I'm not stuck on a mountain as such. I can walk around and I can do stuff. What were you doing for food? Because I'm guessing that warm drinks and warm food were super important. What you have a hanging stove in one of the cabins? How did that work?
Yeah, we did have a few stoves that disappeared, actually, oddly enough. We had
throw them overside.
Yeah, there's a whole story which we will go into over a beer. But there was an unusual crew member, let's say, who and the stove disappeared. Yeah, I'll change some names, but yeah, there's a book in there.
Yeah.
And the stoves disappeared for a period of time. So we were putting cold water in the freeze-dried, ice cold water in the freeze-dried food. So you'd have to do it sort of 2 shifts in advance. So you think, I'm going to have dinner in, 12 hours. So I'll start hydrating it now because it doesn't really work properly.
No, it didn't.
It was pretty awful.
And you ended up on this little island, didn't you? Because it all kind of, you decided that you needed to bail. So you ended up on this little island, and then you had to sit there for best part of a week or so, was it not, waiting for a ship to come passing by and picking you up?
Yeah, it was 2 weeks. Basically, our boat, as we were heading south, the storms were hitting and the conditions were awful, and our boat was breaking down. Our water maker stopped. We weren't getting power through our solar panels, so the battery wasn't working. We were losing navigation equipment because we relied on the power in the boat. So we looked on the map, and there's this tiny little speck of land, kind of en route to Iceland, but on a slightly different bearing. And we phoned up with a satellite phone, a contact we had in Norway, and said, there's this island called Jan Mayen. It's to a guy called, I don't know what he was. Can you phone up the island and see if there's anyone there? And within an hour, he'd phoned us back and said, guys, there's 18 military personnel on this island. It's owned by Norway. There's warm food and a bed for you there. They're happy to have you. So head there. So we turned off everything, all power, all navigation. We just saved power to make water. We knew we were more or less 3 days away. And we steered by magnetic compass through the swell to this island. 3 days came and went, nothing. Couldn't see a thing. 3.5 days, 4 days came and went, nothing. And then the moment happened. I opened the cabin one shift, and it just, like, numerous times, I just thought, we've missed it. We've overshot the island. There's nothing we can do, but that's the end. And I remember turning round as I looked to see where in the direction we were going, and the clouds parted and this black rock of the volcano appeared out of the clouds.
Wow.
And it was Jan Mayen. We were dead on.
What?
And suddenly within, it felt like a minute, but within half an hour, the water just went flat. And having been through these storms for weeks, suddenly it went flat, and we were in the safety of the island. It was a beautiful moment.
So what would happen? What would happen if it was cloudy or foggy? Would you just rode past it?
It was so kind of dangerous to steer by this magnetic compass because we could have the swell or the wash or the could have knocked us off. We could have stayed on the bearing, but we would have been at in the wrong place. Yeah. So wow. It was just luck really that we got there. I mean, after a while, we would have turned all the electronics back on just to check. But we were trying to save the power.
Proper hardcore adventure.
It was pretty exciting. And then so we radioed the island, and they said, yeah, come to this grid reference. It was 8 hours down the coast. I'll tell you what, it was the easiest 8 hours I've ever rode. Yeah, we're here. And we were met by this enormous JCB on the beach, this beautiful black sanded volcanic sand beach, and they hoisted us out, put us on pallets on the beach, our boat, and then took us off. And it was Thai night that evening in the facility they had there. So they cooked the most beautiful Thai meal, and we were just gulping it down. And we realised that I'd lost feeling in my feet for 2 weeks. I'm sure you'll have experienced sort of trench foot, or it was non-freezing cold injury apparently, and so we couldn't feel our feet, and my hands were terrible, but we were being fed and we were in safety, and it was beautiful evening. Wow. But we couldn't get off the island then for 2 weeks because no one goes there, and the guys work there, and they get a visit from the Coast Guard a year to refuel the island with diesel. And they get one military flight a year to swap personnel. Jeez. And the commander was just like, you can stay here, but I don't know when you can get off.
Wow. And that must have been really hard because, like me, you got a young family. The ages are roughly the same as my 2 children. So that must have been really hard for you to be stuck. I'm guessing at least, to be stuck on the island, wanting, I presume, to get home. Yet not being able to do anything about it. That must have been quite hard to reconcile in your head.
Yeah, I think that was probably the biggest challenge for me. I was the only person with children on that trip, and that was a big sort of lesson to me. I was this naive guy fulfilling a dream for myself, I suppose, because it wasn't my job. It wasn't really necessary. It was necessary for me to do that personally, but it wasn't necessary for me to better my family or help my family to do that. It seemed like a selfish thing to be doing at that time, and that was the battle for me. And it made me realize at times, at the worst times really, that my kids, they just want me to pick them up from school and ride their bike. They don't care that I'm getting Guinness World Records, which was something to start with that was appealing. Yeah. But actually, what the hell? Yeah. I didn't need that. I don't need that. I needed to be at home. It's an
interesting one though, because I do think sometimes to be a really great father, you need to be content within yourself. And if you are jarring or at loggerheads with something, then that needs to be put to bed sometimes. And certainly with myself and my own personal climbing, it is a constant battle to try to find the balance between being there at drop-off and pick-up, which I love and the children love, but also to feed the rat, the thing that's inside me that needs to be constantly fed to keep me content, I suppose. Sometimes we need to look at ourselves as much as those around us. And I think it's easy to dismiss things as, oh, that was a big mistake. And I find myself at base camp sometimes, or base camps, wherever I may be, soul searching, thinking, oh, the weather's rubbish, or this isn't working, or I shouldn't have come here. But that is part of the tapestry. And I think it's, it is important to do these things sometimes. Perhaps a little bit selective on how much and when and things like that. And that's the balance of having a family and the choices that we make. But you're right. I mean, one of my joys, I love the school runs. There's one of the biggest things I missed in lockdown is the school run. I love the school. When the children come out, it's Daddy! It's like to run up the school drive. I love it. Wouldn't miss that for all the tea in China. It's so cool. So cool. So we've got to talk about your books. The first one's Dad Ventures. Who came up with that name?
I think it was a joint effort with myself and the publisher. I think it was them. It's them.
Absolutely brilliant. Dad Ventures. They couldn't have had a better title. So that was your first foray into writing. And I did read somewhere that you're now pursuing your passion of writing. And was that always... Is that something that's always been in your mindset?
I have always enjoyed writing. I feel like I write better than I speak. When I speak, things come out all mixed up, as you felt today. I feel like my thoughts are everywhere. Whereas if you're right, you can take your time. So I've always, when I was rowing, I used to write a blog about the things that we were doing as I was going along. I enjoyed that aspect. And then the opportunity to write the book came along just after the Arctic trip, and everything sort of fell into place. And I didn't write anything clever. I didn't make anything up. I wasn't creating characters and storylines. I was writing about what I like to do, what we like to do as a family, and trying to encourage and help just come up with some intentions for other people to do. So that's what Dad Ventures is about. It's just that little seed someone might need to go, oh, I want to do something outside today, but I don't quite know what. I'll just flick through oh yeah, let's go out and try that. And the point about Dad Ventures is really that you don't have to complete the thing. You don't have to, that activity that you choose, you don't have to do it from A to B perfectly. It's just a case of getting out and spending a bit of time. Everything can be a disaster, but that disaster means you've been together, you've spent quality time together, and even if it's a disaster, you probably won't forget it. No. It'll be a memory-making experience.
Right, you say you're not creating characters, but that is exactly what you're doing, because you are creating adventures, and through that, you are creating the characters of the next generation. So I think you're being a little bit unfair by saying you're not creating characters. I think you're doing more than that. You are shaping our very futures by educating the next generation. And I think that should be applauded. I think it's fantastic. And your new book, I'm sorry, I have to look at, You Can Have an Outdoor Adventure, which I believe is the first of a series of books.
Yeah, it is a part of a series, but not my series. So other people have written other, like, you can grow your own veg and you can take amazing photos. So it's a guide.
But yours is the best one, I heard.
Yeah. It's written for children, so 6 to 11-year-olds, more or less.
So it's going to really resonate with me. I'll get a copy. I might still need a ruler to be able to read it. Pitch for people like me.
Yeah, and me. That's why this one was easier to write. I was writing on my level, but it's for a child to pick up and take out and scribble in and draw the bird they see or the thing they pick up and collect. It's very much to fill in and an activity book as much as a sort of a guidebook.
And you guys, where you are in the Quantox, you're very much into all that. I mean, I've seen pictures of you foraging on the beach. You've got pigs, which are a pet rather than, you're not rearing them to then butcher. They are a family pet. What sort of pigs are they?
They're kuna-kunas. They're beautiful little kuna pigs.
Well, they're little pigs.
They originate from New Zealand, but they are big now. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I've got you fine, yeah.
Okay. They're quite big now. They're called Ginger and Pickle, but they're real characters. They're hilarious. They just, and they do great things for the ground as well. We've got a bit of space. I move them around in their pen, and this year, wherever they've been, it's full of wildflowers. So they create this beautiful landscape where they've been. We love having them.
But pigs have a tendency to like rip the ground up a bit, don't they? You know, when I was out in France, the house that I was living in for a while, a wild boar got into the garden one day and just destroyed the garden. And the pigs are similar, aren't they? They do break up the ground, which is, I presume, why the wildflowers like it. They would germinate and seed quite nicely in recently broken soil.
That's right.
And why pigs? You just think that's a good pet to have?
I don't know. Yeah, we kind of want to be farmers, I suppose, smallholders. I love we rescued some chickens from a battery farm, or got some rescue chickens, and they have been my delight. Do you know that one of the best things of my day is going out to feed the chickens, collect the eggs in the morning, whether the kids come or not, and watching these chickens flourish from scraggy, featherless creatures to these beautiful looking egg producers. It's such a rewarding thing. So I love that aspect. And yeah, we're outside all the time, and we try and do something together. But I'm sure you probably have the same. We have to find this balance between technology and children and doing stuff.
It's harder. It's super hard. So my son is almost addicted. He's 7. He's almost addicted to Minecraft.
Oh, yeah, we're on that. Exactly the same.
Really interesting. Some of the stuff he does on Minecraft is mind-blowing. He created the solar system. One of the school projects was draw a picture of the solar system. So he did it on 3D in Minecraft, and you could fly through all the planets, and there were different sizes and different colors. And I was looking at it going, wow, this is incredible. Really way beyond anything I can do on a computer. And he's 7. Yeah, part of me just wants him outside getting dirty and mucky and pig wrestling or whatever it is. And it is finding the balance between modern technology and not losing touch with adventure, which I think can easily be done in this.
Yeah, absolutely. My take on it is exactly that. It's as long as we've done something together outside in a day, then they need to be able to navigate that world. They need to be able to do things that we can't do on the computer. My eldest son, he does lessons and homework on the iPad, you know. During this period, it's a perfect example. All his lessons have been on the computer. He's had to know how to access portals and websites and emails and all this sort of stuff. So they need to be able to navigate that world now, which we didn't when we were growing up. But I think it is important. And one of the things I wrote about with Dad Ventures, or I've talked about since writing the book more, is that if we can encourage some time outside with our children, then and even if it's just us pointing out things that we don't know the names of necessarily, but that tree or that little wildflower or weed or whatever it is, or ant in the wall, we point those things out. Our children will think, oh, Dad thinks that's interesting. They'll start showing interest in that as well, and they'll start caring about what they see. And then suddenly we'll have a generation where we're not such a throwaway generation, and we do think about where we lay that road or build that house, because there's some creatures there that live in there without being too over the top with it. I think it's important to encourage our young people to look and notice and care about the environment they're in. And the way I try and do that is I'm not an expert in anything, but I try and get out and show them things and notice things with them.
But I think you do it really well. And I mean, I think you're doing yourself down a little bit. You know, certainly on your social, you know, you can see that you are super engaging, and you do seem to know a lot more than perhaps you're letting on in terms of wildlife, etc. And I remember we bumped into one another as families in a number of years ago now. I forget what it was. It's one of those sort of festival things. And I think it was on a bee stand, and my son was looking at bees, or was being taught about bees.
Yes, it was.
And now all Willoughby wants is to keep bees. I mean, he's that's his one big ambition. So, you know, we're looking at getting hives, etc., etc. And it came from that one moment, looking at bees. I forget what the festival was. You know, we bumped into you there, as I said, and it germinated that seed inside him, and he's kept that for the last few years. And he's like, Mummy, Daddy, I'd like to get some hives. Look, I researched this and da 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 da. And he's researched it himself on the iPad. So again, it comes back to that, having that balance between modern technology and being able to do the research himself. Yet what he's researching has wholesome qualities of, you know, he wants to get bees, look after bees. You know, he's realized that bees are an integral part of germination and pollination, etc., etc. And I think it's beautiful. But it comes from,
that's really cool,
to what is important.
I think that's such a great thing. It's a great thing to encourage as well. I'm trying to do exactly the same and encourage my boy, my eldest's interest, and he has an interest in, I'm hesitant to say it, but taxidermy.
Okay, well, there's nothing wrong with that. As long as it's not snares or things to catch all his animals. A friend of mine that I used to climb with, he used to be into taxidermy.
Right.
Steve, I can't remember what his name is. He has some amazing things.
Yeah, I think it's a really unusual but really cool thing to be interested in. So we're trying to encourage that. I'm going to take him on a course when we're allowed to.
I wouldn't even know where to begin with that sort of thing. It could get a bit messy, couldn't it?
Yeah, it does. It does. I assure you, when we're stopping on the side of the road and looking at some roadkill. But let's not go too far down that track. No.
So, I mean, what's next for you? Because I know you work a bit with Vitality, and you do quite a lot of public speaking and team building work. I mean, how does all that work, having moved from Henley? Because I presume a lot of the work is in London.
Yeah.
So you moved from Henley, which would have been quite quick into town. Now you're down in a Quantox down in Somerset. I mean, how does that work with commutes and things like that? And that must be pretty hard on you and the family, is it not?
Well, it hasn't been too bad actually. There's a great train line from Taunton, so I'm on the train the whole time when I could, you know, in normal circumstances. So that's fine. That works okay. It's only an hour and 40 from where we are to
is that all it is?
To central London.
An hour and 40.
Yeah. Wow. Pick the right train and we're there.
Is that the train that comes through Swindon, or is that?
Yes, I think sometimes it comes through Swindon, then goes to Reading, then Paddington. Yeah.
Wow. Because I used to pick that train up in Swindon. I mean, it's daylight robbery, isn't it? The Great Western Line. God, it's expensive. I mean, from Swindon, I used to have to remortgage the house. So I come in from Oxford now. That's a shame, because we could have teamed up on the train. That could have been quite good fun.
Yeah, that would be good.
So you do quite a lot of work for Vitality. You do your team building stuff. You obviously got the books out now. I mean, what else is on the radar for you at the moment?
So one thing I am discovering that I really love to do is I work with an American fitness company which create workouts I started on the rowing machine, and I moved on to the treadmill as well. So we create videos for people to sit on their machine or walk on their machine or run on the machine and watch me, being the fitness trainer, talk about and run and take them through a workout and talk about where we are. So, I mean, very lucky. I've got to go to some of my favorite rowing locations around the world and train people and create these films. And what I've discovered is...
I need to try and get this straight. So you go to the really cool location. You go out and row. Is that right? So you would row across the lake, and then I could subscribe and see you rowing across the lake while I row on my ergo, and you tell me what a wonderful view it is.
Yes, exactly.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
But you are on your ergo, looking at the machine, sitting in the boat with me. So it's you and me together in the boat. So I'm taking you across this lake or around this island in Brazil or wherever we are, and Yeah, it's a bit more interactive, and I get to learn about that. So I have to sort of do some research on the place and talk about the history and the wildlife and whatever we see and we talk about. So it's an interactive.
So what's the best location? I mean, if I was going to subscribe to this and do one row with you, which one would you recommend?
It's got to be Brazil. We went to Ilha Grande. My pronunciation is poor, but Ilha Grande in Brazil. It's this beautiful island just off Rio, and so I spent a week. It's rubbish. It is rubbish. But we spent a week doing workouts,
Wow.
and filming these workouts. But what I do love is actually, I never thought it would come back round to this, but I do love sharing or helping people get fit or encourage them to get fit, because I'm discovering this now as well, which sounds ridiculous coming from a life of training and sport. But actually, after Rio 4 years ago, I didn't do anything. I did the Arctic row, but I didn't do any fitness, any training, any physical activity. I was done. I was knackered. I was mentally and physically exhausted. I just needed a break from that. And, you know, things like watching you in the morning, going out for your run, getting into your routine, that is, for me, quite inspiring, seeing you do that, because you're not a runner. No. I'm not saying that because I've seen you run.
No, I'm not a runner. I'm definitely not a runner. I know I loll up round the fields like Forrest Gump.
No, it's not your job, but you do it for what I picked up for another purpose, which is the way it makes you feel, the way it gets you ready for the rest of the day. And that's what, for the first time in my life, I've discovered, really, since the start of this year, that physical activity for me now is not about getting times, winning races, getting medals. It's about how I feel and can fulfill the rest of my day in a positive way. And much of my ups and downs over the last 4 years has been because I haven't had that structure and routine.
And how do you find that work? Because I really struggle with, when I'm traveling a lot, I really struggle with that structure and routine. One of the great things about lockdown is that I know that every morning I can go for a run. Whereas when it's all normality, I might be into London, I could be flying to Geneva, I could be a myriad of things. So I really struggle when I don't have that structure. How do you find that?
Yeah, I see that, and I'm someone who likes, if I get a diary, I like to fill my diary in every day, and if I miss a day, I'm annoyed with myself, and that plays on my head, which is just a stupid thing, but it is who I am. So I like that routine. I realise, but in terms of fitness, what I've found is that I try to make things as easy as possible for myself, so I have less excuses. So since 1st of January 2020, my trainers have been the same pair of trainers, and they've stayed outside as long as the dog hasn't picked them and run off with them.
Or the pig.
Or the pigs. They are by the side of the door. Whether it's been raining, whether it's raining, they are wet by the side of the door. My kit, the same clothes, without being washed, are hanging on the door. Well, so I can roll out of bed and get within 5 minutes, get them on. I have no excuses. I can't find my trainers, can't find my kit. They're there. And then I'm outside. When I'm outside, I'll be completely frank, I might do 10 minutes run, a 10-minute jog. Or if it's a good day, if I'm feeling good, if I want to, I'll go half an hour, 40 minutes, an hour, whatever it is. But I just do what is right for me on that day. And so when things aren't perfect, when we travel or stay in a hotel or something, then the way I deal with that is that it doesn't matter if today doesn't work or I can only do 5 minutes. As long as I've put my kit on and gone outside, even for a little walk, then I'm in a better space because I've maintained that little routine in that diary.
Wow. That's really cool, actually. I mean, there's a number of things you said in there. Is one, it's right for you. And I think so often people lose sight of that. I'm not on Strava. I don't use Map My Run or any of that. I do it because it feels right for me. I don't log any times. I don't normally log distance. I know roughly how long my runs are because I run them regularly. But I don't log times or any of that. I can't tell you what my PBs are. Not interested. I do it because I do it for me, for nobody else. And you said exactly the same thing. It feels right for you. And I think many of us lose sight of that from time to time. So it's so lovely to hear that from somebody as accomplished as you are when it comes to the regime of sport and training and things.
Yeah, I think things might change, and it's going to be different for everyone. Some people are. What I discovered in rowing also was although we were all doing the same thing day in, day out, people are motivated by different things. So some people are motivated by the times and the numbers. I was never that person. I was motivated by the feel of the boat and how we as a community in the crew felt, whether how fast it went was almost irrelevant in a day. It was how we came off the water and felt that session went. Whereas for some, it was all about the numbers. If we didn't hit the numbers, then that was a bad day. So it's just going to work differently for different people. And yeah, I think it's about experimenting and as you say, finding what works for you.
Yeah, it's exactly that. It's finding what resonates. And I say, yeah, it's different for all of us. I mean, for years I didn't run, and you said yourself, you give yourself no excuses. You know your trainers are here, your kit's there, you put it on, you get out the door before you can say no. I got quite a lot of metal in my legs, and for nearly 20 years, I said, I can't run because of, and I used it as an excuse for not running. And I filled the void with cycling or CrossFit or various other things. And then one day I said, I used to run and I used to enjoy running. I'm going to try running. And I got rid of that excuse.
Yeah.
And okay, I lollop and I got really bad running gait. And some days I go out like you and I run halfway up the field and go, oh, this sucks. And I turn around and come back, or the metal hurts or whatever. But I don't use it as an excuse anymore. I don't pin a reason for not doing it on that. So you're absolutely right. Eradicate the excuses because they are, for many of us, myself definitely included. If I can find a get out of doing this clause, I'm the first one there, my hand up. I'll take that, thanks, and go and drink more coffee or eat more pies or whatever it may be. But I can't believe, surely you washed your kit. I can't believe your lovely wife would allow that kit in the house. Not for 6 months.
No, it's the same hanging up. She's just totally disregards it.
You minger. That's worse than Sean Conway on his European cycle ride, where you see it and it's all caked in salt and things like that. Oh. No.
Something I love about that. We used to have competitions in training, on training camps, of how fewer lycras we could wear. Oh, it was pretty horrible.
Oh, but surely that gets all encrusted on your buttocks and things like that. That can't be good for you.
No, you're right. You're totally right. It's unprofessional and not good for you. We didn't do that.
Oh, God, I had you down as a clean-cut sort of boy. You got that nice beard thing going on, which seems to be cultivating quite well. You kind of got like a Francis Drake thing going on. And we were talking to start with. I'm not sure if it's you cut your hair or your children cut your hair at the side. Yeah, I mean, look at this bad boy. I'm in desperate need of some sort of. That's why I'm wearing a hat these days. It's getting pretty bad. So what is on the radar moving forward? I mean, you said you want to. You've got your training videos you're doing with the American company. Where do we find that, by the way?
Well, you have to buy one of they're exclusively on their platform. So if you buy a Nordic track treadmill or rowing machine,
so it's got to be one of their. I can't do it on my Ergo, for instance.
No. Oh,
you advised me to buy that Ergo. You could have probably got commission if I bought a Nordic track one.
I wasn't doing that work for them then. But actually, I have a feeling, I need to check this out, but I have a feeling you can still subscribe to them and use the platform on your phone or on an iPad. So they might have changed that, particularly in the recent times, because people want to or need to train and work from
I could train with Alex. That could be.
You could.
Yeah. That will show some deficiencies in my rowing technique, I'm sure.
Don't worry, they've got lots of trainers. There are lots of other trainers as well. So
yeah, but none of them are 6'6" and look as handsome as you. So the girls say. So you got that going on. You got your new book, which is out. So that got published about 10 days ago. So was it not?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it's quite recent. Yeah.
So I mean, I would say there would be a book tour on the back of that, but I suspect that's not on right now for obvious reasons. And then what else have you got going on? I presume platform speaking, as the same with me, has gone dropped off the radar. So yeah, what's on the agenda?
Well, I still, I want to pursue the writing. I want to do some more writing. So this is a good time to be sitting down, knuckling down. But I've just got to finish building my shepherd's hut, my office first. But anyway, that's in the running.
It looks awesome, Alex. It looks, the pictures I've seen looks amazing. Everybody's going to be so jealous. Perhaps you could do that for work moving forwards. Convert shepherd huts.
Yeah, I've bitten off more than I can chew. I struggle to put up pictures in the house, and I chose, based on cost, this self-build shepherd's hut. And in the place where they are built and constructed, they all look beautiful. So I'm just hoping mine isn't going to be all ramshackle. But it's a good project. It's a great project. So I'm going to sit down in there and write more. I really do want to do that. I do want to carry on with the speaking, because I do love sharing the story about I suppose overcoming failure in pursuit of something you want to do, which is my story basically, and finding a way to achieve and perform. And so I do love sharing those stories. So whether it's online going forward or back to normal sort of speaking routines, I do want to carry on doing that. I'm a little more relaxed about life now than I was maybe in the last 2-3 years. I feel like I felt like I had to chase something immediately and be someone again. The reality is I'm a rower. I was a rower. You don't do rowing to be a famous athlete who's made for life. You become a rower to learn the things you learn and do it for the love, and to have the opportunity to race in front of a home crowd at London 2012. Those are memories I'll never forget, but I have to look forward now and do something different and be someone else. But I'm relaxed about it, and I'm going to take things as they come.
I think you're absolutely right. I think we can't let our past journey necessarily dictate our future journey. And I really struggled with that. When I moved back from France to the UK, I remember looking out to the bedroom window, bluebird day, living in the beautiful Cotswolds, but having no climbing here. And I really struggled with that inner conflict. And then one day I said to myself, because the children were really small then, I said to myself, right, my personal climbing is on hold until the time that I feel the children are growing up enough that I can manage all the different facets of my sort of new life. And when I made that decision, and I decided that the past journey doesn't necessarily dictate the future journey. It may influence it, but not necessarily dictate it. I found myself much more content, and it was like a switch. It was that quick. I made that decision, and I told people. I made myself almost accountable with others. This is why I'm not climbing anymore, because everybody just expected me, oh, you're Kenton Cool the climber. I'm like, well, yes, but I'm also a dad. I'm also a professional mountain guide. I'm a public speaker. I've written a book, and I've got all this other stuff going on. I'm not just that man. And actually, that man's on hold for a while. He's influenced who I am, but I'm not beholden to that man. And it sounds like you are found out exactly the same thing, which is beautiful to hear.
Exactly. Exactly. And I think that comes down to a little bit of confidence as well. And thinking back to who I used to be as a rower, I thought that I had to be. I remember a school teacher telling me when I was playing rugby, Alex, I was this tall, fluffy-haired, blonde-haired boy who grinned a lot, smiled a lot. And he was like, Alex, you smile too much. Look at Damo over there. He's grimacing. Look how hard he is. And he was this skinhead guy with a thick neck.
Oh no, we've lost Alex mid-story. You're there, Alex. Oh, what happened to the story? We've got to find out what happened to the story.
I want to know.
Oh.
Completely gone.
He did say that he had a bit of a dicky reception when I was chatting to him this morning. Well, that could be the first time on Cool Conversations that we've had a total dropout. And what a cliffhanger. Where was that story going? Can we try and dial him back? How does it work on Zoom? Can we redial? I don't know.
No, he's just completely gone.
He's completely gone. Alex! Oh, my goodness. Wow. I don't know what to say about that. There were so many nuggets of wisdom. So many parallels, selfishly, with the own conflicts that I've been going through over the last few years, just in a different arena. But what a beautiful man Alex is. I'm just going to riff for a little bit to see if we get him back. Who knows? But I've just got to say, I've got a blank screen now. Is that a good sign? Just keep going. I've got a riff on this. I'm lost for words. Alex, we got you back. Oh, thank goodness for that. That's what you get living down in the beautiful Somerset countryside. Your Wi-Fi or your 4G, perhaps not. So what happened to Dave? So Dave, the grimace, big neck.
So yeah, he was the hard nut of the team, and the coach wanted a whole team like him, but I just wasn't that person. So I've always struggled. It's always been a bit of a motivator. Do you know what? You can be a nice guy. You can be someone who like smiles and is nice to people. And actually, you can be someone who, on the start line of the Olympic Games, looks across and goes, thumbs up to your opposition, the Aussies or the Germans. You know, you can be that person. Wish them luck. Genuinely wish them well, and then go and beat them. And I sort of thrived on that. That school teacher who wanted me to be someone else, I resented, and I kind of hated him for that, and it motivated me to try and be someone different. And it was hard, and sometimes it was hard where people are not nice to you to get one over on you or to beat you. The world of sport is tough. You know, it's competitive. Of course it is. That's what sport is. But you don't have to be horrible to people. You don't have to look horrible. It doesn't matter what you look like. You can still win based on that. And that was a massive motivator to me. Anyway, there we go.
Well, I mean, Alex, I always struggle to bring this show to a conclusion, and you've beautifully done it for me. I mean, I don't know how I could conclude things better than that. I don't think that's true in just sport. That's life. And there is nothing more infectious, is there, than a smile. And it costs us nothing, and it gives everything. So from me to you, I'm going to smile my way home and just say, hey, mate, thank you so much for being on the show. There's so much great stuff in what you've said. And as soon as we can, come and visit. I know you do some work. Did you still do some work with that little sort of water park thing up here? I noticed that you come up every now and then, don't you, to the Cotswolds. Next time you come up, come round and we're all vegan at home. We have a vegan barbecue when we can. Bring the children up. They'd love to meet one another again. But I am going to smile my way all the way home because of you. You can smile, you can be nice, and you can still win. That is gold right there. So thank you.
Thank you. A pleasure. Great to speak to you, and see you soon.
Take care, Alex. Be cool. Wow, how great is Alex? I love him to bits. I'm sure you guys do now as well. There's a man who, by the sound of it, he smiled his way through 5 world titles, 2 Olympic medals, Olympic gold medals, no less. Just shows you don't need to be that glum-faced individual. go about your life with a big smile. That's going to be my motto for the next, forever. I was going to say the next week, but forever. It costs nothing and it means so much. We're back again, obviously, next week with Cool Conversations, same time, same place. From me to everybody out there, thank you so much for your ongoing support. I know things are easing with lockdown, but we are going to continue putting out this content. If you do have any suggestions for cool guests or where you'd like to see the show going, hit us up on social media, Instagram, YouTube, whatever it might be, and let us know. We can only develop and grow with your sort of constructive feedback. So don't be shy, hit us up. But for now, I'd like to say a huge thank you for all the listeners and viewers, but an even bigger thank you for Alex for being such a true legend. We'll see you next week. We're in it together. We get it done together.